All right, hello and a very good evening to you. Special thanks for joining us tonight and choosing us once again to inform you and bring you up paced and candid with the latest stories making headlines in the world of news. Welcome to Hope TV's Newswatch on this day, the 4th day of March 2026. My name is Theo Macharia, and on the Sign Language Interpretation desk is Boniface Mureithi. Let's begin. And the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairperson Erastus Ethekon has raised concern about what he termed as a propaganda against the commission. Speaking at the official launch of the People Dialogue Festival 2026, Ethekon said that allegations about corruption of the voter register are false and that there exists no trust deficit between the IEBC and Kenyans. Aside from this, IEBC announced that they will be launching mass voter registration on the 30th of March.
The official launch of the People Dialogue Festival 2026 gave the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission IEBC chairperson Erastus Ethekon a platform to call out what he termed as propaganda against the IEBC. Ethekon first sought to correct the narrative being spread that there is a trust deficit between Kenyans and the IEBC, saying those claims are false.
Since I came to office, I have never met a single youth or young person in this country who has come to me or our offices and told me, Chairman, we don't trust you. We don't trust your commissioners. We don't trust IBC. But when you listen outside there, there's a certain group of stakeholders that keeps on hammering IBC.
He further maintained that the register remains intact and uncompromised.
When you say that voter register can be accessed in AI, have you engaged with us so that you find out how we manage and how we handle data and our register?
IEBC noted with concern the violence witnessed in last year's by-elections. However, Ethekon said that they are not constitutionally mandated to provide security in elections.
When we conducted the by-elections last year, the 24 by-elections in November, we did our job so well based on our interpretation of the law. But then you hear voices out there saying, but there was violence and IBC is to blame. When I look at the law, we don't have a mandate for providing security in the country. The mandate rests elsewhere.
With the mass voter registration expected to be launched on 30th of March, the youth have been urged to register in large numbers to bring desired change.
If you don't like the things we have done from 1974 onwards, when people like me have been voting, the only way you can change it is to go and vote. And if you don't vote, we are going to continue voting. And unfortunately, we can only vote the way we know.
Jacob Ochiro, Hope TV, Nairobi.
Right, thank you so much, Jacob Ochiro, for that report. And now the late Emurua Dikir Member of Parliament Johanna Ngeno and 5 colleagues who perished in the tragic helicopter crash last Saturday have been mourned as heroes who died in the line of duty. During the Somba Requiem service held at the African Gospel Church in Karen, mourners, including Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, who recounted moments shared with the departed, have urged unity and peace, especially in Ngeno's home region, which has been plagued by land dispute for years. Our reporter Vincent Kerosi was at AGC and now tells us of the deep tributes that took the better part of the 3.5-hour service.
A pall of mourning hung over the AGC church in Karen, Nairobi, as the bodies of the 6 people who died in last Saturday's helicopter crash were wheeled to church and prayed over before being flown home for burial later this week.
In their eyes, you were a hero. In mine, you were a gentle, devoted father with the biggest heart. You were my beginning, was still new and pure. Losing you feels like losing the music of my youth, the laughter, the dreams, the simplicity of believing we had endless time. But even death cannot take what we built. It cannot erase the love, the memories, the family we created. You'll always be my Joha. Rest gently, my love. You're forever part of me.
I remain grateful to God for the gift of life, of your life, and for the honor of being your mother. Rest in eternal peace, my dear Kipkoech. That was the name my mother used to call Robert Kipkoech. You will forever live in my heart and in my prayers. Fare thee well, bro. We love you so much.
The light of the family has really gone dim because he was the breadwinner of the family. And we are really saddened by his loss. Nick, we loved you so much, but God loved you the more. We will dearly miss you.
Families overcome with grief, relatives, friends and colleagues trying to briefly describe their relationship with their loved ones who have now gone before them.
This is the saddest day of my life. I've lost a son-in-law who is married to my daughter, Anna Yanoi. I've also lost one of my employee, Rono, who is my protocol officer. All these young men who are laying here from my county.
Please put us together to see what we can do. Let's not leave it all to the president. There are things that we can do, governors, colleagues, speaker, so that we can stand with them right now.
You know, people have tried to find reasons here and there what may have happened. My own assessment of Captain George, having flown with him barely a week before he perished, he was a very meticulous pilot. Very careful. We were together with the Speaker of the National Assembly, and you can attest that he was organized in the way that he took his flight.
We have seen Your Excellency in the housing sector. Johanna Ngeno's name has a full chapter when the history of the housing agenda and the transformation of our country is finally written. Johanna Ngeno and this committee have a full chapter.
In attempts to preserve the dignity and honor of Johanna Ngeno, leaders who spoke promised to stand not only with his young family, but also to address the needs of the families of fellow victims. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki promising that the government will address the recurring land disputes in the wider Narok region to strike the balance between environmental conservation of the Mau forest and communal coexistence.
But when tragedy strikes, we withdraw back, thank God, praise God, like Job in the Bible.
Wale wanaoenda kwa unyofu huwa na amani na hupata pumziko walalapo mautini.
The government will make sure that we will balance the interest of the communities in Emurodikil and in Narok and provide a sustainable, long-lasting win-win solution that balances environmental conservation with also the interest of the population in that area. It is not one against the other. You can have the protection of the Mau ecosystem and at the same time grant land rights to the genuine people who have found their home in a Murodekil constituency.
The fulfillment of the church rites now paves way for the final steps of the journey of Johanna Ngeno and his 6 colleagues, with their bodies now being readied for a final flight to Narok County for burial on Friday. The burial of 2 of the deceased has also been scheduled for Friday at the home villages, as one more is expected to be laid to rest on Saturday, while the family of the pilot, retired Lieutenant Colonel George Were, will make plans for his funeral later. Vincent Kirosi, Hope TV, Nairobi.
All right, and we continue sending our condolences to the entire family of Emuru Dikirr Member of Parliament, Johanna Ngeno, alongside the 5 other victims that perished on the Saturday accident. And now, as funeral proceedings officially began today with a requiem mass at AGC Current Church in Nairobi for the late Emuru Dikirr MP Johanna Ngeno, clergy in Narok County have urged the government to conduct a thorough and transparent investigations into the helicopter crash in Mosop, Nandi County that claimed the life of MP Johanna Ngeno and 5 others. Speaking at KAG Church in Narok Town, the pastors called for a speedy probe which they say will help establish the cause of the crash, dispel speculation and prevent similar tragedies in future. Assistant patron of the Narok County Pastors Association, Julius Nalamai, said a comprehensive investigation would offer closure to grieving families and restore public confidence in aviation safety. The clergy also called for calm and unity as burial arrangements get underway for the victims.
Tukielewa ya kwamba kuna jambo la kisiasa, tunaomba jamii na wakazi wote wa Narok tukubali tukae kwa amani, na wakati kiongozi huyu analaswa tumbe heshima ya mwisho, na hata jamii na watoto wake wote. Jambo la janga ni jambo ambalo hakuna mtu ana uwezo ya kuzuia. Sisi wote tutaondoka katika dunia hii.
Taifa nzima tuwe na utulivu. Tuliona kupitia media hii jambo la ndege ikilete hiyo accident, ikipiga miti. Tunaomba kwamba kama kuna jambo lolote lile ambayo mtu yote angeshuku, serikali na taifa wanaweza kushughulika kuhakikisha kwamba hii ajali ilikuwa natural, ili kwamba kuwe na utulivu na amani katika taifa.
And a raft of sweeping reforms could soon knock at Kenyan universities as the government moves to overhaul higher education in a bid to boost sustainability, innovation and globally competitive structures. Speaking at the 2026 Public Universities Vice-Chancellors Summit in Mombasa, Education Cabinet Secretary Julius Migos Ogamba said institutions must align with international standards while responding to Kenya's development priorities. Ogamba called for curriculum reforms to accommodate learners from the competency-based education system and urged universities to embrace digital transformation, strengthen governance and diversity revenue streams while aligning academic programs with labor market demands and ensure research translates into practical solutions that drive national growth.
The implementation of the competency-based education and the ongoing curriculum reforms represents a fundamental shift towards learner-centered, skills-oriented higher education that aligns academic programs with industry and national development priorities. Universities are expected to redesign curricula to emphasize practical competencies, innovation, critical thinking, and problem solving while strengthening industry linkages, experiential learning, and assessment frameworks that measure demonstrable skills and outcomes. My suspicion is that in 2029, since the grade 10 are now 1.1, I anticipate that you are likely to admit 600,000 of those because of the pathways. Because you have to come up, and I'm seeing the CEO of OCOPS is here. What are you going to use to admit these students to university? Is it exceeding expectation or meeting expectation? If somebody meets expectation, what does that mean? It means they are qualified to go to the next stage, isn't it? And if 600,000 of them meet expectation, what will you use to say I cannot admit them to university? So if that is knowledge that we have now, what should we be doing? Preparing for 600,000 students in 2029, preparing the infrastructure, and the government being told what is it going to cost to support these students.
And rifts within the ODM party seems to be widening after the party's officials in Sambweni began their movement dubbed Linda Msambweni to defend the interest of its members due to what they say is being sidelined in ODM party issues. Led by Abdallah Mambo, the officials distanced themselves from ODM Linda Ground faction, led by party leader Oburu Oginga and Edwin Sifuna's Linda Mwananchi, as well as a broad-based government saying no one has been officially involved. They also took issue with the recent Linda Ground event in Kwale, saying that the ODM party leadership failed to involve officials in the area, thereby causing low members to turn out for the rallies.
Sisi tunasema sasa hii tumebadilisha msemo, tunasema sisi ni ODM Linda, ODM Linda. Wengine wametoka tayari wamekimbia huko, wanaanza kusema wao ni Linda wananchi. Sisi hapa Msambweni tunasema namna hii. Hata CSO nataka ajue namna hii. Sisi hatuko Linda Ground, sisi hapa Msambweni. Wala hatuko Linda wananchi. Sisi tunalinda Msambweni. Yule ambaye anajua Msambweni iko na thamani na iko na viongozi, atakuja hapa chini sisi tuzungumze. Sawa sawa? Kwa sababu sisi tunalinda Msambweni na ndio tunalinda polling stations. Na tuko na watu mpaka kwa polling station na tunatia watu thamani.
Kukifanyika chochote ndani ya Msambweni, sisi tuhusishwe kama viongozi wa Msambweni. Tusituchukulie tu hivi hivi. Sisi hatutaki kuchukuliwa tu watu wa kupiga makofi. Sasa hii tunaambiwa watu wako kwenye broad base. Hatujajua maana yake, hatujahusishwa. Kwa hiyo tunasema sisi tunataka tuhusishwe kamilifu ndio tuseme Linda Ground. Lakini sasa tunasema Linda Msambweni.
Sisi watu wa ODM tuwa tumewachwa nyuma, hatuna habari yoyote. Mikutano yote imefanywa Kwale ilikuwa ya UDA na si ya broad based government. Kwa hiyo ujumbe huu moja kwa moja ufikie mkubwa wetu, baba yetu, mshikilia kiti cha wadhifa uongozi wa ODM pamoja na William Samoei Ruto, rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, kwamba ajue, Aisha akifahamu kwamba ndani ya Kwale County broad base is not at work.
And patients in Mombasa can breathe a sigh of relief after the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, that is KMPDU, called off a strike that had been scheduled to begin on Tuesday night. The medics say the decision followed lengthy deliberations between KMPDU officials and county leaders led by Abdul Somad Sharif Nasir, resolving an impasse that had threatened to paralyze services at the Coast Teaching and Referral Hospital. KMPDU Secretary General, that is Davji Atela, said the strike was suspended after the county government agreed to a set of demands aimed at improving doctors' welfare and working conditions. Under the agreement, the county has committed to promoting 105 doctors, transitioning those on contract now to permanent and pensionable terms, remitting accrued statutory deductions and safeguarding medical professionals from political interference.
We have agreed with the county that all the doctors that had not been promoted are going to be promoted. We have 105 doctors who are 15 from the common cadre, then 25 to job group, 33 to job group, 39 to job group Q, 25 to job, 33 to job group P, 17 to job group R, and 4 to job group S will be promoted by 1st of April. That is a total of 105 doctors. We've also discussed and agreed that the remaining 20 doctors will get their letters of promotion by 1st of July 2026. So that means that all the doctors that we presented for the county will be promoted on 1st of April and 1st of July. We also discussed the issue of doctors on contracts and have had a deliberation with the county and agreed that the county will review this particular contract and these doctors will get their letters of confirmation and or changes to permanent and pensionable terms by 1st of June 2026 after the review. We further discussed the issue of SACCOs that county had not paid for about 5 months, and when we reviewed, we found that the pending time was 2 months, and the county agreed that they will pay the 1 month within the next, by June, then the other 1 month in the next financial year.
And Kenya has today marked its first ever commemoration of World Lymphoedema Day, with patients, caregivers and health experts calling for urgent government intervention to recognize and fund treatment for the condition under the Social Health Authority (SHA). The event held in Nairobi sought to demystify lymphoedema, fight stigma and push for comprehensive medical coverage alike to other chronic illnesses. Our reporter Glory Nkatha tells us more.
Many myths and misconceptions surround lymphoedema, mostly known as elephantiasis, a chronic condition that causes swelling, usually in the arms or legs, due to a blockage or damage of the lymphatic system. Medical experts explain that the condition can be caused by cancer treatment, such as surgery or radiation, infection like filariasis, trauma, or congenital abnormalities. If not managed early, lymphoedema can progress, leading to severe swelling, recurrent infections, limited mobility, and infection distress.
It's to elephantiasis, we still manage. When it is already at elephantiasis, we can still manage. But now we can never get a leg which is at elephantiasis level to the same level to the other limb. So once that leg has swollen to that extreme end, like some of our patients you've seen, when we compress and we keep on doing the management, it never goes back to the normal size. Now the patients at elephantiasis level, they actually, at some point, I think I would say that these patients are disabled because they cannot do their day-to-day activities in a normal way. They will sleep, they cannot lift that leg, they will need assistive devices to walk. We do not want patients to be disabled because of something that can be managed.
Currently, lymphoedema treatment is not fully covered under the Social Health Authority, leaving many patients to shoulder the financial burden alone, as its management comes at a relatively high cost.
The secondary lymphedema is which actually we know the cause. Might be because of lymphatic filariasis. Those are actually bacterial worms that get into the lymphatic system of the human body, and they are transmitted through a mosquito bite. And then we have cancer. Cancer is actually the major cause in Kenya currently of lymphedema.
Health advocates are now urging the government to include lymphoedema care in SHA packages, urging that the condition requires lifelong management, just like diabetes and hypertension.
That is our layman's name, but elephantiasis is also a medical term. Elephantiasis is the advanced level of lymphedema, when the limb is so much swollen. Sometimes it has a lot of keloids, like it's so big, like an elephant. That's actually where the term elephantiasis comes from. Like when the limb is so big, so protruded, looking like an elephant, that's when we call it elephantiasis. The skin is hyperkeratinized. We have so much keratins on the skin. We have fibrosis, which is actually hardening of the skin at that point.
Experts state that lymphoedema is a condition that is not treatable, but manageable.
I normally wear baggy clothes, and my mom tells me to stop wearing them, but I just can't, because actually nobody at home knows that I have this problem. Only my best friend. It's because I told her. Nobody knows, and I try my best to live a normal life, but it's not easy. It's not easy. And clothes, it's not easy to look for clothes and shoes.
For many, it affects self-esteem and many causes financial strain to the patients as caregivers.
Sat for one of my papers at the hospital. Yes. And by then haikuwa imekuwa nimeambiwa imejulikana ni lymphedema. By then they were saying it's cellulitis. So hiyo kukaa na mguu mmoja imevura, uwezi ukavaa viatu shule sababu utashinda na slippers. Kuulizwa ni nini mguu yako imefanya, kukuja tena hospitali after they have treated the cellulitis and the cellulitis imepotea.
Lymphoedema is not a curse, nor is it witchcraft, and it can be managed. Reporting for Hope TV, my name is Glory Githinji.
All right, and that story by Glory Nkatha brings us to our first break right here on Hope TV's Newswatch. Time for us to take that break, and coming up on the other side, our business stories and sports stories. Don't touch that dial. See you on the other side.
Get ready for an unforgettable worship experience.
Hakuja kuwa
Sunday on Ultimate Worship. Where we bring you live music, powerful praise, and anointed gospel ministers and bands. Join us every Sunday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. with a repeat at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Everywhere I go, I see you right there.
It's not just music, it's worship unleashed. It's ultimate worship.
You're too faithful to fail me.
Only on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Hi everyone, my name is George Gishoro, a presenter with Hope TV. Thank you so very much for continuing to support us by watching all our programs. Now, we would love to serve you even better. Now, we want to know where you are watching us from and the strength of the signal. You can scan the QR code and ensure that you answer all the questions in ensuring that you are getting us loud and clear with crystal pictures. So go ahead and fill in the QR code so that we can serve you better right here at Hope TV, where you look and live.
All right, welcome back and thank you so much for sticking with us tonight for the latest in the world of news. Let's now take a look at some matters business. Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi has revealed that Kenyans, together with local institutional investors, acquired 7.9 billion shares in the recently concluded initial public offer IPO of the Kenya Pipeline Company, that is KPC. Mbadi also noted that investors from neighboring countries, particularly Uganda and Rwanda, also showed strong interest in the offer, enabling the government to raise 106.7 billion shillings from the sale. And as Alice Diana reports, the total number of shares applied for stood at 12.4 billion shillings, translating to an overall subscription rate of 105.7%, with the government of Kenya announcing that it will continue to hold 35% of KPC shares.
Out of the 12.4 billion shares that were placed on the market at 9 shillings each,
from the offer, 112.
Local investors dominated the offer, purchasing 7.95 billion shares, representing about 67.32% of the total shares available.
Investment, Mr. Lawrence.
While releasing the results of the successful Kenya Pipeline Company Limited initial public offer,
getting Kenyans more time.
Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi noted that more than 70,000 ordinary Kenyans participated to become co-owners.
Retail investors were coming, were repeating their expression of interest. Someone today offers to buy 100 shares because that was the minimum, puts 900 shillings. The following day puts another 900 shillings, clearly demonstrating that this was a people-driven IPO and that we are truly democratizing the ownership of what have been known as government-owned enterprises.
Mbadi revealed that Uganda, Rwanda, and other members of the East African community acquired a combined 3.8 billion shares, representing 21.22% of the offer shares. Foreign investors, whom Mbadi had earlier dismissed claims that there were hidden plans to fully hand over KPC2, will now own a marginal 0.02% stake in the company. Under the final shareholding structure, local institutional investors will own 41%, retail investors 2.56%, KPC staff 0.06%, and licensed oil marketing companies 0.014%, bringing total ownership to 100%.
Kenyans, together with their government, will still own 79% in KPC, and about 21% is going to be owned by East African community, the rest of our brothers in the East African, and almost nothing to foreigners. The ones we were accused that we were selling our company to.
Addressing concerns over the yet-to-be-established National Investment Fund, which had been earmarked to receive part of the proceeds, Mbadi clarified that the funds will be first channeled into the consolidated fund before being allocated through parliamentary approval.
There is also another group of thoughts. Fortunately, that is where I belong. That we should create a fund with proper legal framework to manage this fund, because it is a public fund anyway. Now, because we knew that Kenyans are very interesting, you may wake up and you find already someone has registered National Infrastructure Fund as a political party. It has happened many times. And now you cannot register National Infrastructure Fund as an investment entity. So we moved ahead to secure that, to register the fund. But it was not conclusively registered. Until now, the government made a decision to go the route of setting up a fund through a bill, a legislative process, which is in parliament. So where is the contradiction? Where is the lie?
The CS also dismissed suggestions that the IPO was overpriced, claiming that certain unnamed individuals were attempting to derail the process. KPC is expected to start trading on the Nairobi Securities Exchange NSE from March 9th, becoming the 5th company to be listed on the current trading board. Alice Diana, Hope TV Newswatch.
And the Kenya Airways has announced that it will operate repatriation flights between Nairobi and Dubai this week, following a green light from Dubai Airport Management. In a statement today, the national carrier confirmed that it will operate a Nairobi-Dubai repatriation flight on Wednesday and a return Dubai-Nairobi flight on March 5th. KQ has clarified that the flights are strictly intended for Kenyans who are residents of the UAE and are unable to travel out of Nairobi and vice versa. The airline has, however, clarified that it has not yet resumed operations to Dubai, and it will provide more information in the coming days. Now, the move comes after the US and Israel launched an attack on February 28, 2026 against strategic targets in Tehran, which prompted Iran to begin retaliatory attacks. The attacks, which are mostly coordinated sets of air and missile strikes, have led to multiple explosions in the Middle East region, leading to airspace closures. And Absa Bank Kenya has reported a 10% growth in profit after tax to 22.9 billion for the financial year ended on 31st December 2025, supported by resilient growth, prudent risk management, and strong operational efficiency. In a dynamic operating environment, total revenues closed the period at 61.4 billion shillings. Revenue performance reflected changes in the interest rate environment, which were offset through disciplined cost of funds management, underscoring the bank's resilience and execution strength. Driven by stronger profitability, the bank has declared a 17% increase in total dividends to 2.05 shillings per share. The distribution comprises an interim dividend of 0.20 shillings and a final dividend of 1.85 shillings per ordinary share.
The NFI number was particularly pleasing this year, 12% up. That's a 2 billion number year on year. And therefore, the revenue number should be viewed in that context. We've shown the profit growth, what's happening to client assets. And we see 2025 as a bit of a reset year because of the big changes that happened in the pricing framework. And as the effects of that come through in the industry, we're starting to see our lending book also responding. We talk about customer-led growth and putting the customer at the center of everything that we do in terms of our growth and transformation.
Abdi again shared when we were looking at the new revenue streams, the likes of the digital lending, Timiza, we saw that picking up very well in this year. We saw mortgage also picking up, again following the drive coming from the affordable housing, sector that we've seen the government really fast tracking.
All right, and welcome to the world of sports. And Harambee Starlets are back in action tonight, taking on hosts Ivory Coast at the Alassane Ouattara Olympic Stadium in Ebimpe. Kickoff is set for 10 p.m. East African time. This friendly marks the final match of Kenya's West African tour before the team heads to a 10-day high-performance training camp in Miramar, France. The Starlets are looking to bounce back after a 2-0 loss to Benin on Monday, which exposed defensive gaps the squad is determined to fix. Coach Beldino Demba is using these matches to test tactics, build team cohesion, and prepare the squad for the 2026 Women's Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco, where Kenya will open against the hosts on the 17th of March. The Starlets are in Group A with Morocco, Senegal, and Algeria, making tonight's game a key test ahead of the tournament. And the English Premier League returns tonight with a busy midweek schedule as teams chase crucial points in match week 29. The action kicks off at 10:30 p.m. East African time with Aston Villa hosting Chelsea, Brighton taking on Arsenal, Fulham facing West Ham, and Manchester City welcoming Nottingham Forest. Later at 11:15 p.m. Newcastle United will go head-to-head with Manchester United. These fixtures come at a critical stage of the season, with clubs competing for top 4 spots, European qualification, and the fight to avoid relegation. And on that EPL note, we've come to a close of tonight's edition of Hope TV's Newswatch. Thank you for sticking with us. That is around for the last 40 minutes or so. My name is Theo Macharia. On the sign language interpretation desk was Boniface Morathi. Remember, there is nothing that is too hard for the Lord. We wish you a lovely night. See you again, same time, same place tomorrow. Good night.